Hi, welcome to Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, thanks for watching. Well, stay tuned for my exclusive interview with the House Majority Leader, Mike Turzai. We're going to talk about transportation and other important aspects of the legislature's activities this fall and even somewhat earlier. And then former State Senator Jeff Piccola, who wants to come in and chat about charter schools. We'll cover that subject and more after these words.
This is Pennsylvania Newsmakers, a fast-paced, unrehearsed weekly discussion with and about the leaders who shape your world. And now, here's your host, Terry Madonna.
Hi, well, again, welcome back. Well, we have an exclusive interview with the Majority Leader of the House of Representatives, Mike Turzai. He's from the 28th District, which is out in western Pennsylvania, not in Ohio, right? You're still in PA. You're getting pretty far west, however.
Yeah, north of Pittsburgh.
North of Pittsburgh. There you go. Well, as always, you've been on this program often in the past. All right, I want to accomplish a couple of things, but obviously the most important thing on everybody's mind is the transportation bill that squeaked by after a couple of efforts in the House. We're taping this program in advance of what the Senate might do. Look, what is your best estimate about, and we won't hold you if it changes, because
it can change.
And on a dime.
I don't think so.
What do you think's going to happen?
It's been one of the governor's top priorities. The Senate is going to pass a bill over to us. They're going to probably pick, and I know this is sort of inside knowledge.
That's all right.
But they're going to take a House bill that's already over there.
Okay.
They're going to put the transportation funding in that bill. They'll send that over to the House, and then it's an up or down vote in the House, and it'll go to the governor's desk.
Okay, and you think it'll pass the House?
I do. It will be a close vote, but
yeah.
I do.
Now you've had some reservations about this, right?
Yes.
You've been pretty clear, very front about it. I mean, you've been upfront about it. What are they? Without getting into great detail, just a couple of quick ones.
It's a balance between the need to invest in states' roads and bridges and mass transit, and the burden on taxpayers. And I have felt that it has not been focused enough on the taxpayers, and that the commensurate cost, the commensurate burden on taxpayers has been it's been too high.
Right.
But that's not to say there's not a need to invest in roads, bridges, and mass transit. We do $6.8 billion annually today in state and federal dollars. The last time we did this was in 2007, and it was a borrowing bill. They bonded. They were looking to get tolls from I-80. That went
Were you in support
downhill.
of that? The federal government wouldn't
I was
permit
against that.
You didn't like tolling Route 80.
It wasn't so much that. I didn't like the bonding aspect of it at all, and I thought that that what they really were not addressing was that money wasn't staying on Route 80.
Right.
And we didn't think that it was going to get federal approval, and it did not get federal approval.
You all wanted to use it for construction
all over.
projects.
It was going to be used all over. Yeah, so I was a no vote.
Okay,
yes.
The feds just said no. So your expectation is that a transportation bill, which not arguably is a pretty big deal for Governor Corbett in his reelection effort.
I mean, it could play both ways, Terry.
I know where you're going ahead with this.
But the governor certainly perceives it as important to his reelection effort. And he has made a case, he's really been quite public about it, that he wants to see, this increased revenue for investing in roads, bridges, and mass transit. And it's a signature item for him.
Okay. But your sense is, I want to go on to what you're going to move to next. Your sense is that it's a done deal. And I won't hold you to this because we know as we tape this, but you think it's done.
Yes, I do. I think the votes are there. It's going to be a close vote, but the votes are there. I do think that there's been a serious discussion about what the amount of the tax is going to be in relationship to what the public will see in terms of improvements and how quick they'll see in terms of improvements. That's really the issue.
Okay. Now you realize that this is going to be all over tweet land, don't you? That you said it's going to pass. Just kidding.
You know,
You can tweet.
Yeah, no, look,
tweet
it's been the governor's signature issue, and he's worked it hard.
I'm just having a little fun with you. All right, we're
Yeah.
going to run to a break. When I come back, I want to ask you, I know another priority that you have had as majority leader is pension reform.
Yes.
So we're going to run to a quick break. When we come back, I want to let you weigh in on this. Chatting with
Thank you.
the House Majority Leader, Mike Turzai, from north of Pittsburgh. We'll be back in a moment.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry, the statewide voice of business, and by the Pennsylvania Business Council Education Foundation, educating citizens and business leaders about important public policy issues and civic affairs. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by BetterSaferRoads.com. To voice your support for safer highways and less traffic congestion, visit BetterSaferRoads.com. And by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business.
Welcome back to the program with the Majority Leader of the State House of Representatives, Mike Turzai. And before we move on to the next big item that you'd like to take up, you wanted to add I'll give you a footnote to transportation.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I have to say the governor did do a very good job of putting a coalition together. You know, the chambers of commerce across the state, really led by the Chamber of Business and Industry here in Harrisburg, and then also the labor unions. So he put together a coalition that was positively behind this transportation infrastructure legislation.
And you don't often see labor union leaders and business leaders
together
on the same podium.
There's
right?
no doubt. And then the other thing is the speaker, I think, to his credit, got some prevailing wage reform in it. Mm-hmm. Now, some people may say, oh, it's not enough. It's the first time we've had prevailing wage reform. They're going to take the threshold from $25,000 up to $100,000. And for transportation,
that means the state would regulate the salaries that people would earn. I think it's a good way to put it.
And it's a reform, and I think that's a key component of it. So those, on the governor's part, I think his putting the coalition together was very, very helpful for him, and I think it's going to be helpful for him going forward. And then I think the speaker, Sam Smith, getting the prevailing wage reform in the legislation, I think, was crucial.
All right, let's look. Okay, what's next? Okay,
Public
you got
pension
this
reform.
done. You got this done. You'll come back in the spring. You know, you have that window moving into the budget season, and then, you know, after that, next year, everybody's up for re-election.
Yep.
So let's talk about what's the next item. If Mike Turzai has his way, what happens?
Public pension reform has to be next. New hires, we should move to defined contribution plans. We have to turn off the spigot with respect to the cost of public pensions, and we have to move into the 21st century. The private sector has been in the defined contribution space since the mid-1990s. They've all undergone those transitions. Now, do I think that we have to honor the agreements or the deals we have with these existing employees and existing retirees? I think we do.
So you're not talking about changing anything for anybody now who's already, you know, in the teacher system or in the public
state employee
system, but moving forward for any new hires and/or people who are in employment whose you would propose. Would you propose changing?
No, I would not. I would not, Terry.
Now that differs from the governor's plan a bit.
He has some changes for existing employees moving
forward. And you say no.
Yeah, I just don't think that's where the members are. I think the members are on both sides of the aisle, both sides of the Capitol.
Wow.
I think that it has to be for new hires. As people coming into the system, they know they're getting a new agreement.
Yeah.
It's their first hire. It's their first time agreement.
Sure. So the argument would be you don't run into the legal problems, the challenges that might
I think
come
that's right,
because it'd
Terry.
be
I do. And
for
there
new
are
challenges,
two Superior Court cases, the middle appellate courts, that cast some doubt on whether or not you could change it in any way for an existing employee, even going forward.
Right.
I certainly don't think you can change anything for an existing employee.
By the way,
going
we're talking about 40. The estimate that I've heard, and the leader will correct me, is about 47 to 49 million dollars in pension debt for the two big pension systems. We got that about right?
Oh, I think you mean billion.
I'm sorry, billion. Did I say million? I'm sorry. Put a B there.
Yeah, it's unfunded liability.
If it were 49 million, we wouldn't be talking.
Yeah, it'd be over. We could do that. But you have to. What you have to do is you have to quantify what your existing liability is. You can only do that if you turn off the spigot.
All right, that's one thing. Pension reform. Give me one more.
Well, I know the governor always says his big three, and we've gotten an awful lot accomplished. We passed on March 21st liquor store privatization. We passed it, 105 to 90.
And you got to get the
House
Senate to do something with it.
We got to get our Senate colleagues. You know, it's interesting when you go out and about, Terry. No matter who I talk to, even if they want to talk to us about their issue, they all bring up, when am I going to be able to get a bottle of wine in a grocery store? They want that tangible option. It is, we're so antiquated. You know, every state around us, you can go into a grocery store and get a bottle of wine. Every single state. West Virginia, Delaware, New Jersey, New York, Maryland, and Ohio. Every one of them.
You know, the one problem, and you know, I pulled on that, and it is popular. I do agree.
Exceptionally popular.
Yeah, but the problem is, and here's, everybody knows now where to buy a bottle of wine. Everybody knows where to get a case of beer. Everybody knows if they're going out, they want a couple of six-packs. They all know how to do that. So it doesn't have, in polling terms, what we would call salience. You know, they talk about it, but it doesn't mean a lot. How are you?
But you know what?
Disagree with me.
I disagree with you.
Good.
I definitely disagree with you because people perceive Pennsylvania as antiquated, that we're archaic. There's a lot of truth to that. In all earnestness, the two things that people go right to, Liquor Control Board and the Turnpike Commission. That's what they perceive as sort of like the old patronage-laden politics of Pennsylvania. Listen, I was against the pay raise. I spoke out against it. It was the kind of thing that everybody thought, oh my goodness, they're just about taking care of themselves. They are expecting a new Pennsylvania.
New Pennsylvania?
And that's emblematic of that. It's not merely convenience. It's they want us out of the business.
Before I let you go, one other thing. This just came up. We got about 30 seconds in this segment. Should the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission be collapsed? Should you just get away?
I would.
Now hold on. Tell me what you think. I think PennDOT has been dramatically reformed over the past 40 years. It's not that old PennDOT. The PennDOT secretaries, I don't care what governor, have done a very good job. Do you agree with that?
I do. I do.
And I know there's a big, maybe you'll come back and we'll talk about that.
I'd like to talk about that one day.
I think that's important.
I agree with you on that.
All right, there you go. My exclusive interview with the Majority Leader of the State House, Mike Turzai. Now we got a former lawmaker, former chairman of the State Education Committee, who's now working with charter schools, Jeff Piccola, who'll be back with us when we return from a paid commercial. Stay here.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by Pennsylvania Credit Union Association. Pennsylvania Credit Unions, where people are worth more than money. To find a credit union that is right for you, check out ibelong.org. And by the Energy Association of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's energy information source. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Hospital and Health System Association of Pennsylvania, working towards a healthy Pennsylvania.
Hi, welcome back to the program. Well, joining me, it used to often be the case, is the former chair of the Senate Education Committee, Senator Jeffrey Piccola. He now is the board member of the Pennsylvania Coalition of Public Charter Schools. He's no longer in the Senate, but I remember when you used to come on, and I used to make you debate a guy named Sterling. Remember that?
Loved it. I enjoyed that thoroughly.
Mike's a Democrat from wherever that place is, Lancaster, where I live, and Senator Piccola's from Dauphin County, so that we used to have a lot of fun. But welcome, Senator, on the program.
Great to be here.
All right. Since you left the Senate, you've gotten involved in the charter school programming movement. Is that a fair way to put it?
Well, I guess I formally got involved. I've always been a supporter of charter schools. I helped to write the original charter school bill from the Senate side in 1997 and did write the cyber charter school law in 2002.
Okay, so now you're more directly involved as a board member representing charter schools, and there's been of late. Well, let's talk about. I'm going to let you make your case. Why charter, and then we'll get to some of the concerns that people have. Why charter schools?
Well, my belief is that monopolies are inherently inefficient and expensive and don't serve the needs of whatever segment of the population they're designed to serve, and that applies to education as well as everything else. And right now we have, for the most part, a monopolistic education system where you have the public schools, regular public schools. Charter schools are a form of school choice. As I said, they've been around for about 15, 16 years, and they are providing alternatives for parents to choose educational environments for their kids that best meet their kids' needs. And there are a whole variety of reasons for it. Safety is one, educational improvement is another, academic excellence is another, but parents should have that right to choose. And that inherently creates a system where the regular public schools, in order to try to keep the students that they want to keep, because they're going to be sending money along with those students. The idea that the money follows the child is part of this concept as well. They're going to improve, or at least try to improve, their educational program so as to entice kids to stay. In fact, the proof of that is with cyber education and cyber schools out there, many school districts have created their own cyber programs.
Let's go back to the basics. What is a charter school?
Charter school is an entity, a nonprofit that has been created by petition to the local school district. If the local school district denies the petition for the charter has the right to appeal it to the Charter School Appeals Board at the state level. It's a gubernatorially appointed body that reviews denied charters. And once they receive their charter, they operate initially for 3 years, and they can be renewed for another 5 years.
And their funding goes directly to them or through the school district?
It goes through the school district. One of the proposals in these bills that are pending is to do what we call direct pay, so that the Department of Education would pay directly those funds due to the charter schools.
Do the school districts have the authority to cut the appropriation to decide how much they would get?
Well, they don't have that direct authority, but when they propose, when the charter school sends their I think it's called their 363 form in, or the school district does. The school districts have ways of finagling the numbers so that they can kind of reduce the amount that the charter school will get. In addition, they have other ways of, they can challenge the enrollment numbers, they can just delay payment. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that school districts attempt to do that.
Now, there are 174 charter schools, 119,000 students currently in them, and 40,000 students on the waiting list.
Yeah, 25,000 of those are about that number are in Philadelphia alone.
Are in Philadelphia. So I want to run to let's run to a break, and then when we come back, there's some legislation you all are supporting. I want to talk a little bit about that, and then we'll get into some of the concerns that some people have. All right, I'm chatting with former State Senator Jeff Piccola. We're talking about charter schools, and we'll be back.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by Highmark Blue Shield, changing the way health plans work for business with a variety of plan options for employers and more choices for employees. Information is available at highmark.com. Have a greater hand in your company's health. And by the Pennsylvania Healthcare Association, the future of long-term care.
Hi, welcome back with former State Senator Jeff Piccola. We're talking about the charter schools. Senator, your organization and other charter school advocates have been pushing for some changes in the General Assembly to what I'll call the basic charter school law. You'll correct me if I'm wrong about that. Well, give me two or three of those changes that you think are necessary.
Well, one of the big ones is some kind of an authorizer other than the school districts. And the bill that is pending now, it's Senate Bill 1085, I believe, is a bill that would allow universities and colleges to authorize charter schools in a school district rather than just the school district. When I drafted a bill a few years ago, we included a statewide authorizer where the Department of Education could authorize. One of the reasons for that is to just get it out of the hands of the district, which, as I said, is the monopoly at the time, and they would then control that. Let somebody else, from a more broad perspective, determine whether there's a need. And markets will determine this. I mean, there are school districts where you'll never see a charter school because they're doing well. But in school districts where they're marginal or failing, people are demanding alternatives. Another change is the direct pay that we talked about, allowing the Department of Education to pay directly to the charter schools what is due them from the districts. As I said, school districts will go to great lengths to undercut the viability of a charter simply by delaying payment or fudging the numbers.
Okay, well, let's go to another matter.
Another big one. One big one
That's fine.
that everybody agrees on is to apply the ethics law and a lot of reform kind of measures to charter schools. A number of charter schools got into trouble, particularly in the Philadelphia area, because they did things that you just shouldn't be doing. And this will put a lot of teeth into the enforcement of charter schools. And the coalition supports that because they feel that one bad apple ruins the whole barrel for them.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. I mean, some of the concerns that I've heard, expressed in print and in, on some programs that we follow, is the fact that some of them don't perform, that the students in them don't perform academically, that there's problems with the management of them. Is that the kind of thing you're talking about?
The academic is another area, but one of the areas that these bills would provide is to have the Department of Education create an academic matrix so that when charter schools are up for renewal, they'll all be judged according to the same matrix. It won't be hit or miss depending on the school district. Senator Dinniman and I and Senator Williams, when I was in the Senate, developed the what I call the reform measures, the accountability measures, the transparency measures that are contained in these bills now. And virtually everybody now agrees with those measures. There aren't very many that
we have about 40 seconds left. Cyber schools, future?
I think cyber schools have a tremendous future. We didn't even envision them in 1997 when we wrote the original law, but I see in the future perhaps a return to the old one-room schoolhouse where a neighborhood gets together and kids come from the whole neighborhood being educated on computers with just a couple of proctors. So.
We'll have to have you back and get into that one. That's a pretty intriguing idea. Hey, as always, thanks for watching the program, and we'll see you next week, and stay well.